Hey y'all, Bloodwing here. Back to bring some grumpiness to your internet. My mind went blank there for a second. Where am I? What am I doing?
I got an ad.
Yeah, I did too. Look at that. Oh my gosh.
It's somebody peppering someone's hair with
I-
the. It's one of those like anti-bald products.
I got some sling audit radio or something. I don't know.
Hair
Anyway,
fibers.
welcome to Redneck Radio, the talk show where you get a side of, hey, y'all, watch this with every episode. With me, as always, is Irate Bear. Say hello, Bear.
Hello, everybody. I hope you're all well on this Thursday evening.
Yeah, it is Thursday. I had to ask my wife this morning, I said, what is today? Is it Thursday? She's like, yeah.
Bloodwing's going through the change.
Well, I don't work anymore, which is how I was always able to tell what day of the week it was, because you work and you're aware of that. But I don't work anymore, so there's nothing really to tell me.
Yeah, I mean, when I was in the Navy, you'd get a copy of what's called daily orders every day.
Yeah,
And that would get pinned up onto the board in the mess deck. You know, the area where you sleep and you watch TV and stuff and have drinks with your mates and stuff. But when I left, I didn't know what the day it was because there's no daily orders.
right. Mama Manny's in the chat. Hi, baby. For those of you that don't, I'm sure everybody knows by now, but that is my daughter, my real life daughter.
My sister from another mister. How's it going? I hope you're well.
She's probably working. She's the one that moved up to Michigan with her 4 kids. So probably
she called me net brother. That makes me pleases me.
She's been pretty busy, from what I understand. We called and had a long talk with my 11-year-old grandson, the wife and I, the other day, and I think he misses us because he just talked. But from what I'm able to gather, she's been kept quite busy, fixing up houses and stuff. Her and her boyfriend are planning on putting up some houses for rent, starting rental properties and whatnot. Yes, he's 12. I know, dadgummit. I want to keep them babies.
Did say you were going through the change.
Yeah, time goes so fast.
It does.
It goes so fast. I'm telling you, and this is not an exaggeration. I'm not joking. Yesterday, I was a handsome young man with my whole life ahead of me. And this morning, I woke up a crippled old guy with no memory. What the heck happened?
Time.
Yeah, but time goes fast. A lot faster than you think, people. A lot faster than you think. So if there's things you want to get done, you better get them done now, because if you keep saying, I'll do it tomorrow never gets here. How's that for some sage wisdom?
There you go. I'm gonna go climb a mountain. I'm not really. I don't particularly want to climb a mountain.
I couldn't even climb a set of stairs, let alone a mountain. There's things like that I wanted to do. That never appealed to me, climbing a mountain. Why do you want to climb up there in sub-zero weather? Purposely put yourself in a position to freeze to death.
There are more exciting things you could do, to be fair.
But one thing I have always wanted to do, and if I got the chance, I would still do it, is jump out of an airplane. I've always wanted to.
I was about to say that. I've actually not done it myself. I have friends who have done it, though.
Yeah, I would love to do that.
If you wanted a thrill ride and you wanted to put your life at a reasonable risk, jump out of an airplane.
My eyes are is that RA or RJ Terrapin? Can't tell the difference on my screen. Says I'm gonna go take a nap. Hey, cheers. I get you. Naps are king. I had one before the stream, so have a good nap, dude.
I had a very brief one early this afternoon. It took me too long to get my video out, so I had like an hour gap, and obviously I can't just fall asleep like that. So I had about half an hour, maybe 20 minutes. I don't know. But it was good. I enjoyed it.
Top 5 bucket list items. Anchor Collins. I don't know. Parachuting would be one of them. A
What about
related thing
abseiling?
I've always wanted to do too is hang glide.
What about abseiling?
About what sailing?
Abseiling.
Abseiling. What's that?
You know, when you lower yourself down a wall or mountainside.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Maybe. Thank you, Batman, for the super chat. Don't go jumping out of an airplane, Bloodwing. With your memory, you'd forget the parachute. That's why old people like me, I've seen them do it. Have somebody jump out with them in tandem. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, to
I
help.
had a couple of friends who did it in Chile on my last deployment, and they did it tandem.
I'm sure once I got up there and got to looking out the door of that perfectly good airplane, I might start having second thoughts because it's got to be pretty scary. But yeah, I've always wanted to do that.
Yeah, I think I'll give that a miss as well, to be honest.
But not that I'll ever get a chance to. There's a place just down the road in Mooresville, Indiana, that does that. That lets you go parachuting and so forth. Kyler says high places. Nope. You sound like J Kid. That boy can't even get on top of a step ladder. No lie. He's scared of heights.
I'm scared of heights, but I'm not that bad. I can get on a step ladder or a bigger ladder, you know.
Terrapin says, "Oh, sorry, Blowing. That was supposed to be kind of a joke. I'm horrible at jokes. It's all right. You said I'm going to go climb a mountain. I'd rather go take a nap. Well, I get the joke. I get it. Yeah, me too. If the choice was take a nap or climb a mountain, I'm choosing the nap every time."
And no random American, at no point during the stream is it too late to bet on when Bloodwing will go tinkle, because, well, I mean, he may go tinkle, but he also might go for a second time.
Yeah, and then up until I actually go, yeah, you can bet.
I think I said 65 minutes today.
Yeah, I think that's what you said. I've seen it earlier.
Yeah.
But yeah, as I was telling you just before the stream started, I'm feeling a little bit talky today, so we might go a little light on the news and just do some discussions today. You know, just random stuff. Why not?
Why not?
I do have one particular topic that I do want to talk about at some point during the stream, but we'll get to that.
Okay.
Also, as you notice by the title, here in the States, it is National Cereal Day, Bear.
Oh, awesome.
Our favorite, so much sugar, it'll put you in a diabetic coma breakfast food has its own day.
It's also National World Book Day today, or International World Book Day even.
Mama Manny says he sounds like me. I've done it and it's awesome. Yeah, she was a Marine. But I don't even know, Bear, if they get the same cereals over there in the UK as we get here. What's your favorite cereal?
Wheatos.
Wheatos. Yeah. I don't. We may get that here, but I've never heard of it. Mine is Life cereal. I love it. Just the plain regular.
Why do I get the feeling it's muesli, you old bastard?
That it's what?
Muesli.
No. It's little squares of wheat, very, very lightly sugared. A lot of people think that it's just old people's cereal, but years ago, when I was a much younger man, they had a famous series of commercials where they had this little kid named Mikey on it. That kid got famous. In fact, there's been a lot of "Where's Mikey today?" But just a bunch of kids sitting around, and their mom was trying to get them to eat Life cereal, and the kids are saying, "I don't want to eat this. You eat it." "No, I don't eat it." It's, "I know. We'll get Mikey to eat it." "Mikey won't eat it. He hates everything." And the kid just starts digging in. He never says a word. Doesn't have a line in the whole commercial. Just him.
He got paid to just eat a bowl of cereal then.
Yep.
Oh, fair enough.
Because they're just trying to, "Hey, Mikey, he likes it."
They sound like Shreddies, actually.
Yeah, they're similar to in a way in shape and stuff to Czechs, but they're not as heavy as Czechs are. If you get Czechs over there, but they're
I've
just
never seen them.
little woven wheat squares, very thin, very light, and very lightly sugared. There is sugar in it, but it's not much.
Mm.
Which is unusual for an American cereal because it's usually you get a little bit of cereal with your sugar.
I like Choco Shreddies.
Terrapin, yeah, I've had the maple brown sugar. It is awesome. I tell you one that I really like, but I don't see it that often is the vanilla. It's vanilla flavor, and it's very good.
That's racist.
Yeah, I know. Grape nuts is disgusting. Chadwick Dupre says, I can't eat grape nuts. I don't have enough teeth to eat grape nuts. My wife will eat it, but she'll let it soak for like a half hour before she digs in. Just
I'm
I'm
not a fan of soggy cereal.
Well, if you don't know what grape nuts is, it's like eating a bowl of gravel.
Okay.
Seriously, it's like eating a bowl of gravel. It's these little bitty nuggets of really hard grain. Really hard. It'll flat out bust a tooth.
Okay. Well, why'd you eat it then?
Don't know. It's supposed to be good for you. Back again years ago, they used to have commercials of this guy that was kind of famous at the time named Yule Gibbons. He was a survivalist. You know, he would come on TV and tell you different ways to survive if you're trapped out in the woods, that kind of thing.
Mm.
And he would come on the commercial. Did you know that many parts of a pine cone are edible? And that was the commercial for grape nuts.
I can't believe that sold it to people, to be honest.
Which, you know, by the way, grape nuts have no part of a grape in them. But
it's false advertising, if anything.
Jen says my mom used to use grape nuts and oatmeal muffins, but yeah, you have to soak them first. Yes, absolutely. You do. Now I've never tried it. I hear that they're good hot. You soak them in the milk and then you stick them in the microwave and heat them up for, you know, several seconds. And I hear that they're good to hot, but I've never tried it.
Oh, Jen.
But they'll keep you regular. They will. They're one of the healthier cereals, supposedly.
Don't be so unladylike.
That's what I love about Jen.
Oh, no. Disgusting.
Oh, by the way, Jen, I got a new, not to get us off track, but I got a new Anki in ARC. It has so many colors on it that it looks like somebody shot it with different colored paintballs over and over. I named it, I named it Psychodella. Think about that for a minute.
Psychodella?
Yeah, it's a female Ankylosaurus.
Oh, okay.
I mean, this dinosaur has pink, red, purple, green, blue, and I know other colors, dark red, brown, all on the same animal. It is the ugliest thing you ever saw in your life. And I said, ooh, that's ugly. I got to have it.
Should we talk about commenting on comments?
Oh, yeah. Today was a episode of commenting on comment. You mean what I was talking with you about earlier?
Yeah. I haven't watched it yet. Just FYI for the folks out there.
All right. Those of you that haven't heard, you know that Bear and I are both huge fans of Neebs Gaming, which, by the way, Igor, Reading with Ren's husband on Ren's channel, just tweeted today that I've just discovered them and they're great. And I tweeted him, yeah, I've known about them for a long while. They're awesome.
I actually ordered some of their merch last week.
Yeah. And we're really big fans, and they do a thing every week that's called commenting on comments, where they each pick out 3 or 4 or 5 comments off their videos and discuss it. And today, one of them, Duralius, because last week they listed their favorite YouTube channels, and Duralius had listed TYT,
Uh,
the Young Turks.
no.
So I guess in the comments, he got a lot of grief over that. And he defended it today. And I'm sitting here listening to it. I watched it earlier before I took a nap. And I'm like, seriously, no. But it took him a while to get to it. I'm sitting here wanting to throw something at the screen for a while. Then after he explained it, I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll buy that. But, it's like I always say, you have to look at both sides. In other words, you can't just check the news on CNN. You got to check CNN, you got to check Fox, you got to check here, you got to check there. And usually the truth is somewhere in the middle, because all news today, no matter whether it's left oriented or right oriented, are opinions instead of news. So you have to check it all out. I get that. But Apsro and Simon were both saying, but not TYT. I don't like them. You'll just have to watch it to listen to him get onto it.
I'm surprised they didn't say anything during the making of that particular video that they're referring to.
Yeah, but I guess one of the comments he read was pretty snarky at him for choosing TYT. Now, during that episode where they listed their favorite YouTube channels, actually some of them matched what I watched. Like there's a channel called Lost in Vegas where it's two black guys that do music reactions.
Oh, yeah, I immediately thought of you because I watched that video as well.
And there's another one, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head, that they watched that I also watch. And they also mentioned Frog Leap Studios.
Yes, they did. Yes,
which I just absolutely love. It's the only, he does the only version of that song from Frozen, Let It Go, that I can even listen to. When you have 7 granddaughters that all love that movie, you'll understand what I mean.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Leo.
Yeah, that's him, Leo.
Yes, he is a great channel. It's a fantastic.
I love him because of his facial expressions when he's playing. He's not serious. It's just all like almost a half joke to him. He's playing up to the camera. He's being a ham, and I love it.
You can see that he's having fun.
Yeah, I love. Yeah. That's exactly it. That's what I was trying to say. He's having a blast doing it, and I love that. I love it.
I like it when he gets his friends involved as well.
Oh, they do an absolute awesome rendition of Africa.
Yes, they do.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It really is.
If you guys have never checked his channel out, it's Frog Leap, not Leapfrog, Frog Leap Studios. Look it up. It'd be well worth your time. Another channel in that vein that I like is it 10 second songs? Mom, many of you still out there, please correct me. You know which one I'm talking about. But it's a channel that he'll take a song and do it in 20 to 40 different styles, like the styles of Michael Jackson and the styles of Queen and the styles of this hip hop group and the styles of this jazz group. And he switches seamlessly between them as he's singing it and playing it. Like every few seconds. It's very, very interesting.
I'll have to check that out myself.
He doesn't upload a lot, but he's got enough back content to keep you busy for a while.
Well, a lot of these channels, like Frog Leap Studios, that one, Jonathan Young, they played the majority of the instruments, don't they? So they have to learn the song from every angle.
Well, this guy plays it in each style, and I tell you what, and he's a white guy, long-haired, hippie-looking white guy. He does a dead-on Michael Jackson.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh, awesome.
His voice changes dramatically between each song and his style of playing, of course, and all of that. He plays the guitar with it, and he'll often play the bass and the keyboards and everything. It'll show up in little windows off to the side of him playing the different instruments while he's playing it. It's very talented guy, extremely talented. But yeah.
You're right for once. I'll deny if you ever said I said that 10-second songs.
Yeah, 10-second songs.
I'll put that in my search bar, so I've got that ready to listen to after the stream.
Yeah.
10-second songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the name of the channel as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's near 3 million subscribers.
It may surprise you to know, folks, that I really don't watch a lot of content from the genre that I make content in. I watch a little. I watch a little, but I don't watch a lot. And here's the explanation as to why. When you're a content creator and you make a particular kind of content, by the time you're done making that content, you've had enough. You don't want to see any more of it.
Yeah, because you're watching your video back and listening to your own voice several times,
I often, numerous times. Oh, over and over and over. Sometimes the same section over and over when you're trying to get it just right.
Yeah, especially like when you record in Audacity and you mess up, but instead of like starting the entire sentence again, you try to carry on halfway through the sentence like an idiot.
Yeah,
like I do. And then when it comes to editing it, you're like, oh no, now I've got to find the exact spot.
Because I'm never smart enough to mark it down where that happened while I'm recording. I'll just look for the gap. Because when that happens, what I'll do is I'll purposely leave about a 5-second gap so that when I look back through the audio, I can see that gap there where it's not recording anything. You can see it.
Like with my Neon Fiona video, I had a couple of bits that were like that. It's like, oh, Neon Fiona doesn't think transgenders.
Cynical Lindsay, did someone say cereal? Let's change it to National Soup Day. Funny you say that, because I sent a tweet to Ranting Monkey today. I assume he's asleep because he hasn't responded. Ranting Monkey, today is National Cereal Day. How come it's not National Soup Day too? Just asking for a friend. So yeah, I immediately thought of him when I heard that it was National Cereal Day today. Okay, well, we have talked some, and we'll get back to talking, but let's go ahead and get to at least some news, a little bit of news.
Okay.
And this has to do with the story that we read Tuesday, and it's kind of a follow-up. Rank and file Dems revolt against Pelosi over resolution to condemn anti-Semitism. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is taken aback by the growing dissent and anger among rank and file Democrats over a possible resolution to formally condemn anti-Semitism, a Democratic source told Fox News on Wednesday, highlighting. Do what there?
I was just about to say, so some of the Dems are revolting against Nancy Pelosi.
Yep.
Because she's trying to put forward a resolution to prevent contain and prevent anti-Semitism.
Yep. You got it.
Why?
I don't know. Not sure the article even explains it.
Okay.
Let's see. Democratic Fox News on Wednesday, highlighting Pelosi's tenuous grip on control over the House and underscoring the growing power of the party's nascent far-left progressive wing. Pelosi even reportedly walked out of a meeting Wednesday with Democrat House members, setting down her microphone and telling attendees, well, if you're not going to listen to me, I'm done talking.
Oh, wow.
So apparently it's getting a little heated. The stalled resolution originated after freshman Democratic Representative Ilhan Omar of Minnesota, for at least the second time in recent months, ignited an uproar for echoing tropes critics have deemed anti-Semitic. In February, she just suggested on Twitter that supporters of Israel have been bought. The congressman then accused American supporters of Israel of pushing people to have allegiance to a foreign country. Omar, who also tweeted in 2012 that Israel has hypnotized the world, may Allah awaken the people and help them see the evil doings of Israel, refused to address questions on Wednesday about accusation that she's anti-Semitic. And I seen a video clip of that. They were like walking with her down a hall, all the press, trying to get reactions, and she acted like she was on the phone the whole time. You know, the old "I'm on the phone" trick.
Okay. Oh, wow. So, I mean, are the Dems just like, no, I don't want to apologize for something that I'm not? Like, is it one of those cases, you know, where it's like, oh, you must apologize for this thing, and you're like, no, shut up, dickhead? Or
well, basically,
are they just
that's
genuinely being like, because they genuinely are anti-Semites and they want to be able to criticize Israel as much as they like, which, as you know, tends to be like a thing where you get accused of being anti-Semitic if you criticize Israel.
Yeah.
Even though that's not, I'm not saying that it is.
Yeah.
Because you can criticize another country, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But they often go a little bit further than that, straight up taking Palestine's side sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, I know most far lefties are anti-Semites. I mean, look at the friggin' Labour Party. It would appear both of our major left-wing parties are full of anti-Semites.
Yeah, well, ours seems to be here as well. Real quick, thank you, Blind Girl Gang, for the donation. Running as late as a shotgun wedding bride. Have a good stream, old man. I like that. Yeah, as late as a shotgun wedding bride. It would appear, Bear, that yeah, the far lefties, the regressives in our Democratic Party are wanting. They don't want to be told they can't be anti-Semitic, but here's how they're couching it. They're like, it's basically, if you're going to say it's wrong to pick on Israel, then you've got to also say that it's wrong to pick on Muslims. Now, just because you're for one doesn't mean you're necessarily against the other. And we see this kind of thinking all the time, like on Twitter and stuff. And you'll mention something and you'll talk about it. And then some idiot will come on. Well, you know, here you are talking about that when there's this, and this going on. Your priorities aren't straight. Well, who says I can't be concerned about numerous things at a time?
Yeah. It's whataboutism is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. And that's basically what they're holding out for, unless they make the resolution an anti-Semitic and anti-Muslim resolution, then they don't want to do it. So, which is again taking away the focus away from Israel. This, if you want an anti-Muslim resolution, fine, go ahead. I don't care. But don't take away from what's going on, the anti-Semitism. They're trying to sugarcoat it and bury it in such a way that it doesn't look so bad, basically.
Yeah. So this is the Justice Dems that are doing this.
Yeah.
That are rioting over this. So like I could get it, you know, I would be pretty pissed off if it was like, say if it was you and me, Bloodwing, and Susan Wojcicki was like, right, Bloodwing, Irate Bear, you have to apologize publicly and take this stance because people think you're this. I'd be like, nah, fuck you.
Yeah.
I know that I'm not, so I don't need to prove that I'm not. But in this particular circumstance, yeah, they do tend to take an anti-Semitic stance, and that's not a good look for the political party as a whole. It really isn't. And if they want to get votes, then they aren't going to get them if they seem to be hateful little shits.
Well, let's read at least a little more here. It does kind of explain a little bit of at least what they're arguing about. Meanwhile, debate over how to address her latest remarks has overtaken House Democrats in recent days. A frustrated senior House Democratic aide told Fox News on Tuesday, "Here we are again, fighting with ourselves. I've spent another week dealing with this and not on policy." A vote on the resolution, which was originally planned for earlier this week, did not appear on the House's official docket for Thursday. President Trump, turning to Twitter on Wednesday, highlighted Democrats' troubles getting the resolution passed. He wrote that the failure to take a stronger stand against anti-Semitism was shameful. And for once, I agree with Trump here. I mean, what's so hard? It's either wrong or it's not. You come out and you call it wrong. Fox News has been told that the Democratic caucus is trying to get the language of the proposed anti-Semitism language right, and that there is concern about mentioning Omar by name, a non-starter for many members of the Congressional Black Caucus. It's because she's Muslim and because she's black. Basically, I mean, that's what I'm reading here. If I understand it. So they're worried about offending her over her offending Jews. Jesus.
There's no way to run a party, really, is it? I mean, I suppose it's still freedom of speech, you know. Let people hate whoever they want, I guess, as long as they advocate for violence. But you know, if you're running a political party, it's not a good look to have people like that. You know, if you're trying to push that message that Trump's a bigot when you've got bigots in your own party.
Two knowledgeable sources said such a scenario would increase security threats against Omar, who is a Muslim. Well, if she wouldn't open her mouth, I said it last week. I'll say it again. We have free speech in this country. You're allowed to say whatever you want within certain small bounds. But that doesn't mean there's not blowback and consequences, because everybody else has that same freedom of speech and can call you out on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
By the same token, Fox has told Democrats are also concerned about making a martyr out of Omar if they don't address some of her controversial comments. Pelosi, for her part, was stunned by criticism among some Democratic members who complained they weren't informed in detail about the resolution. Freshman Representative Johanna Hayes, another freshman. Boy, this freshman group this year is, oh my God. Democrat Connecticut, for example, asserted the Democratic leadership team failed in its duty to inform members about the resolution's details. All the old nobody talked to me about it. But senior leadership sources scoffed at that assertion. St. Pelosi spoke with multiple lawmakers all weekend long about this measure. And I think what it is these new freshman members like AOC and Omar and this Johanna Hayes, they're freshmen. They're peons in the Congress. They're not.
How old is the Omar bloody Muslimo gun bomb chick?
She's pretty young.
Is she younger than AOC?
No, if she's older, she's not much older. Late 20s, early 30s, I'm guessing by the look of her.
Yeah, well, straight to college, then straight into working in a political office, presumably.
Yeah, and this reflects, I think, what's wrong with this generation, and you know why we have such an issue of let's raise the minimum wage and all that. You know, they want to start at the top. And they're not. You're a freshman representative. You're not going to be party and privy to every little thing that the congressional leadership is involved in. It's just not the way it works.
Seniority is a thing.
Yeah, you got to earn your stripes, people.
Seniority is the thing. It's that way in a lot of places.
It goes on for quite a while, much about the same stuff. But there was one thing here that Mr. Farrakhan, the most anti-Semitic individual ever, I think, or is among them, calls her a sweetheart and tells her that she should never apologize for saying Jewish political support is all about money. And if that don't tell you something, when you've got Farrakhan agreeing with you.
Yeah, it's a bit worrying, isn't it?
Look, people, it's not that hard. She either said something wrong or she didn't. And if what she said was wrong, then say so. Why do we got to go into such committees and discuss, I understand it's a democracy, and democracy has a lot of red tape, a bureaucracy. But geez, oh Pete, it's either wrong or it's not. And I've said it every stream for the last couple, And I'll say it again. If you guys don't get a muzzle on these freshmen, these new representatives you got, 2020 is not going to look very good for y'all.
Yeah, especially when the media likes focusing on them so much.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Sakes alive.
Sounds like the Dems are having fun with a few of the younger members. Unruly little shits they are.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they should learn that seniority is a thing, you know?
Right.
Oh, wow.
Oh, sorry, Batman. I don't look much. I can't do two things at a time. I didn't notice in my Twitter what you sent me.
What's up?
But he wants a link to the stream.
Who does?
Batman.
Does he?
Yeah.
Don't invite him.
Well, that was pretty doggone quick.
Yeah, it's because he keeps calling me Bearing.
Yeah. You know I love you, Batman. You know I do, but I really want to kind of keep this on track. Maybe at the end of the stream, we'll see how it goes. How's that? One of these days, I'm going to have a stream, and one of these days soon, I'm going to have a stream where I just invite various ones of my followers on and try to get them time. You know, because I wouldn't have a channel without you guys, you know. So, you know, I do recognize that. But yeah. Hey, Pat.
Bit of hate
doing
speech
good,
there in the
dude.
chat.
Enjoyed your song on Twitter today. I did. I don't know if you've seen it, but he sang a song. And I said, since you've already missed my wedding, which was probably when he was a very young lad, can you sing at my funeral?
I do that. People who've won the bet. Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, there you go. That could be their. Here's a headline for you. Not going to read the story because I think the headline tells it all. Bernie Sanders defends Representative Ilhan Omar, backs legitimate criticism of Israel.
Say that again. Sorry, who backed legitimate criticism?
Bernie Sanders. You know, Mr. I'm number one commie in America. You know.
Well, what constitutes as legitimate criticism?
There is legitimate criticism when they do something wrong, just like there is for our own nation. You know, I would never tell you can't criticize the United States or Israel, but let's call it, if it's legitimate, it's legitimate. And legitimate is not one of these conspiracy theories about, oh, my Jews, you know.
Well, I mean, that's why I asked, you know, what constitutes as legitimate criticism in Bernie's eyes, you know?
I no idea. No idea. Folks, you know, the reason we stand for Israel so much, because they are an ally, and they are our staunchest ally in that area of the world, which is above argument, is the powder keg of the world.
Yeah.
So,
well, that or India and Pakistan,
they are extremely important to us. Because with Israel, the West has representation and a presence in the Middle East.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
them Israelis don't mess about
either. Corey says, "Hey, Blood, do you like Cactus now?" Yeah, they're. I haven't listened to a lot of it. I listened to that one song, but yeah, it was pretty good. What I listened to, it was an old group that Corey is trying to get me interested in. Thank you, Pumpkin Trucker, for the donation. I'd say invite me, but it'd just sound like dueling banjos to these rounders. All right. Anyway, let's move on. Here's another headline that I just want to read. Democrats blacklisted Fox News for the 2020 presidential primary debates. So they're not going to allow Fox News into the debates for them to cover it.
So, sorry, what? Fox News what?
Yeah. Democrats blacklisted Fox News for the 2020 presidential primary debates. Because, you know, and it's true, Fox News is very right-leaning.
Yeah.
But to ban them from covering your debates, yeah,
that's a bit gay.
It is. And people, I'm not anti-Democrat. I am anti-leftist. And in my eyes, leftists are these far left-leaning morons like AOC and Omar and Bernie Sanders. And, you know, that last story that we just read with Pelosi, you know, I'm not a huge fan of Pelosi, but at least she sounds like she's got some good sense about it all. You know, let's talk about this. Let's put it out there. Let's condemn it. You know, here's the next story I wanted to read. Boy, my computer loads so slow sometimes. Dad of Covington student Nick Sandman backs Kentucky anti-doxing bill in emotional testimony.
Anti-doxing bill?
Yep.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
Yeah. A Kentucky measure aimed at tackling doxing, the international sharing of someone's private information on the internet, passed a state Senate committee on Wednesday with the father of a Covington Catholic high school student offering emotional testimony. Ted Sandman, father of Nick Sandman, appeared before the Senate State and Local Government Committee to speak out about how his teen son became the epicenter of a January 18th controversy involving his son, some of his schoolmates, and some protesters near the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. My son, Nicholas Sandman, was the victim of the most sensational Twitter attack in the history of the internet, the elder Sandman said, according to a report by the Courier-Journal of Louisville. Nick Sandman and the Covington students were initially accused of causing a confrontation with an elderly Native American man and taunting him with chants after a video of the event went viral. But subsequent videos and the students' own statements revealed that they were actually verbally accosted by a group of black street preachers who were shouting racially charged homophobic insults at them and a Native American group. The father said that selectively edited videos of his son's encounter were shared on Twitter and drew abusive comments such as, "Have you ever seen a more punchable face than this kid?" The latter comment, which remained online early Thursday, it's still up, was shared by left-wing author and producer, is that Reza or Reza Aslan, with his nearly 300,000 followers. Ted Sandman added that due to the incident, his son had to endure online abuse, threats, and ridicule. It shows how far out of control social media has become, he said. The bill to crack down on doxing, sponsored by state Republican Senator Will Schroeder, easily passed the committee, though some lawmakers expressed concern about whether the proposal would overcome free speech hurdles. And that would be a concern. You know, how do you address doxing without infringing upon free speech? The measure, according to the Courier-Journal, would provide more recourse against people who spread personal information and make threats on the internet. I'm not a big fan of that make threats comment, but yeah, personal information. And within seconds of the video starting to go up accusing these kids in Covington, his personal information was up there. They named him, where he lived, where he went to school. The kid was doxxed.
Yeah.
It would also make it illegal to publish personal information online about a minor that could be used to identify someone with the purpose of causing harm, abuse, or making threats. And I do agree with that. We got to protect our minors. You know,
I agree.
I do agree with that. Under the law, individuals breaking the law would face a misdemeanor charge that could be elevated to a felony if physical harm or financial loss resulted from the actions. Yeah. I get the hurdle about free speech, but there needs to be legislation, not just in Kentucky, but everywhere. We need to start making some kind of legislation to hold, and it's mostly mainstream media doing this crap, and then other morons falling in line to hold them accountable. So that stuff quits happening. Salmon said during the hearing that the incident turned the family's life upside down and affected his innocent son. We are still a far way from winning back my son's reputation, he said. And that's something that people that just start throwing out accusations like that willy-nilly either don't care or they don't think about it. If you make accusations like that, it doesn't just go away. The harm remains, even when it's proved false, as this was.
I thought doxing was already illegal.
I think it's different on a state-to-state basis. I don't think the federal government has gotten involved in it, so it depends on where you live and stuff like that. Since the Covington controversy, the legal team representing the Sandman family has sued the Washington Post for $250 million in compensatory and punitive damages for the paper's coverage of the incident. Like a jump. Last week, the newspaper published an editor's note admitting that subsequent information either contradicted or failed to confirm accounts relayed in its initial article. Well, how about doing some fact checking before you report, Washington Post?
Yeah.
I can't stand it. They are really far left, and they put a paywall on their site, which drives me nuts.
Yeah, they do, don't they? Yeah.
Yep.
They're just like the Times, aren't they? They have a lot of their content behind the paywall.
Last week, the newspaper... oh, wait a minute. I already read that. The editor's note was slammed by Sandman's legal team, which accused the paper of trying to whitewash the encounter. We claimed the Post action was too little and too late. The Washington Post rushed to claim leadership of a mainstream and social media mob of bullies who falsely attacked, vilified, and threatened Nicholas Sandman, an innocent 16-year-old boy, a statement posted on the law firm's website said. The Friday night efforts by the Post to whitewash its wrongdoing were untimely, grossly insufficient, and did little more than perpetrate the lies it published. Lies that will haunt and adversely impact Nicholas for the rest of his life.
Yeah, he'll be known as that kid now.
Yeah. Yeah, you were the kid in
Covington.
Covington, yeah.
Yeah.
Where are we at? Almost at the halfway mark. But yeah, there needs to be legislation, doxing legislation, and in particular against minors.
Yeah,
it really does. I mean, we already have laws in place that if you commit crimes as a minor, your records are sealed. You know, the average person does not have access to those juvenile records.
Yeah, good.
You know, we need to protect our children.
I'm fairly sure we have the same law over here as well, actually.
You know, I said it when this was all blowing up, and I'll say it again now. We need to protect our kids. And all these grown adults on Twitter and other social media crying for their blood, wanting them punched, and this, that, and the other. And these are children, you maniacs.
You know, whenever someone mentions Covington, I immediately think of Philip DeFranco's immediate response.
Yeah, I know.
It makes me mad.
Yeah, I've only watched one or two of Philly D's videos since then. I mean, it really honked me out. And it was only because it was really something that I knew nothing about that I wanted to know about. And his video was the only one I seen. You know.
Yeah, well, it was his video on Twitter that really got everyone sort of gunning for his blood after that shit. So it just kind of proved, you know.
Deck Train, Devin Tracy doxing a high schooler. I know that he has a lot of fans. I've never been a Devin Tracy fan, ever. In case you're not clear, people, doxing bad. Don't do it. And by doxing, I mean releasing personal information like address, where they work, where do they go to school.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that can be used to locate them and do harm to them.
Yeah.
And you're right. You're right, Batman. Once mob mentality takes hold, individuality and intelligent thought go on vacation. Exactly.
Yeah, I was very disappointed in Philip DeFranco's immediate response. It's like he was waiting for something like this to happen.
Yeah. Your boy Pat says, cause even when the truth came out, Philly D still blamed the kids. He did. What he gave as, and I still say it, I mean, I yelled at that video when I watched it. And I watched it in seconds of him putting it up. The supposed apology. Right? Because I wanted to see what he had to say about it. That was not an apology. It was a deflection. That was it was not my fault.
Yeah. This is a guy who's supposed to be setting up his own like news network.
Yeah.
And he's basically still using the media to be his sources.
Exactly.
Because didn't he do a video where he opened up a Patreon and he was raising a butt ton of money so that he could set up his own network?
Yep.
And where's the network?
And P Dog is right. There's still a lot of people who, even with all the evidence, won't believe it.
Of course they won't. It doesn't fit their narrative.
They're still blaming the kids.
Morons.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I'm not a big fan of starting to police insults on the internet. You know, I'm not a fan of that, but I am a fan of any of anti-doxing legislation. Boy, I can't talk today. You know, because once we start to go down the road of blocking out insults on the internet, then we start to get to where your country's at now, where the popo might come knocking at your door because you said something wrong online. You know, and I don't want to go there.
Yeah. The same. You know, I think it was Ree Terrapin a second ago in the chat said, you know, what about, doxing Antifa? Well, I don't want them doxed either, unless they commit a crime.
Yeah.
In which case the doxing is then up to the police to investigate and find them themselves.
Here's where I'm at. You know, I make a lot of fun of people. I make a lot of fun lately of AOC. I don't want to know where she lives. I have no desire to go to her house and scream out in front of her house or spray paint something on the side of her house or her mailbox or something like that. No.
Yeah, she might gallop out the front door and, horses are no joke.
I just want to laugh at the stupid. You know, that's it. Come on. It's not that serious, people. Jack of all Gulf City says, I have been doxxed. I moved house. I can understand that. Early on in my YouTube career, I really worried about it because I had 4 grandchildren who lived here. And, I worried if my docs got out there and some moron thought it would be funny to swap my house. I've got grandkids, and that's, being swatted can be dangerous. There's people that's died from that.
Yes, they have. Yeah, there was one last year, if I remember rightly. Probably more than that, but it was one that was big news, if I remember rightly.
Now that my grandkids have moved away, I'm not so as worried about it. I mean, it's just me, and I don't care. Okay.
BG, I just looked at Philip DeFranco's social blade, and he's recovering nicely now. He's mostly in the green.
Yeah,
mostly, but he's had 2 days this month so far.
Well,
that been in the red. So
the tactic he took is a pretty common tactic. And if you're not going to actually apologize after that, it's probably the only option left. He just acted like it never happened.
Mm-hmm.
And people soon forget.
Yeah, because he knows that shit works.
Yeah.
It's not a bad way to deal with drama.
Yeah. But
yeah. someone of his position, though, somebody who wants to set up their own network, it's not a good look.
It wasn't good optics. No, I didn't think so.
Well, not just that as well. I mean, this is a guy whose channel is a proper business. I mean, he rents out an office, he has staff, he has a bigger responsibility than most YouTubers have. So
if you're going to put yourself over, and he does, as an alternative news source, one that reports the news without bias, then that's what you need to do. That's what you need to be. And
yeah, I mean, that's why I used to like Philip DeFranco. You know, he'd use 5 or 6 different sources for the same story. You know, as you should do.
And we all knew that Philly was a bit left leaning. That was, you know, we knew that was common knowledge. But
yeah, but he wasn't he wasn't insane,
right?
You know, he would present the story, you know, with as much facts as he could, you know, ascertain, and then he would give his opinion, and then those opinions were nothing really, you know, controversial or anything like that. And then there was a Covington thing, and it was like he was just waiting for something like this to happen, just so he could jump on Trump.
Well, I've heard that his wife is even worse.
Oh, really?
And
I don't watch his vlogging channel,
so it makes me wonder if he's not start getting some of that effect, just like we know that Steve Shives did. You know, I've seen some of the early Steve Shives stuff, and he actually was on our side. When he started, and then he got married.
His missus is fucking scary, though. I don't blame
Lord
him.
have mercy. I wouldn't want to meet that in a dark alley.
She's bigger than he is.
She's bigger than all of us, I think, except for maybe Pat out there in the chat. Good grief.
She's just so much bigger. It's weird. Like, she makes Steve look like a little twig.
Yeah,
it's like a giant. She's a fucking freak.
So
he got enslaved. Yeah, he's probably got an electric dick collar on or something.
And speaking of that's a really good segue into one of the things I wanted to talk about. I told Bear before I felt a little bit talky rather than newsy today, and there was at least one topic that I wanted to discuss. And that's a Batman is a pretty good segue into that. In American news today, it's kind of a hot topic. It's come back up. It's been around for a long time. If you've ever watched Black Hitler, you've heard all about reparations. You know,
fun.
We got to pay the reparations. Now it's becoming such a political hot button that they're picking on Bernie Sanders because he won't commit to wanting reparations for Black people.
Oh, no.
All the other presidential candidates, I guess, have committed to it. And other Democrats are pressuring Bernie and giving him a hard time because he won't commit to asking for reparations.
That's strange that Bernie wouldn't.
Yeah, I found it strange, too. His reasoning was, and this is what he said on the TV show The View. When they asked him about it, he said, no, because then you open up the door for the American Indians and, you know, the Japanese Americans that were interred during World War II and da-da-da-da-da.
Well, it's not a bad argument.
No, and it does. It does open the door for that. But I wanted to discuss that just a little bit. I know you're not American, but I'm sure you have opinions. The UK also had slavery way back in the day. And, you know,
we also helped dismantle it, though. So
yeah. So, you know, reparations. The idea is, P-Dog says, I thought Blowing was going to talk something controversial like National Cereal Day. Reparations, you know, and there's a few people that are Black people out in my chat right now, P-Dog and Pat and different ones. I'm sure they have opinions on it. And let me be clear from the get-go. Slavery was a bad thing. It was awful. It was terrible. It is a crap stain on the history of America.
Mm-hmm.
Should have never happened. It was terrible. Human beings should never do that to other human beings.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Shouldn't happen. You know, however, slavery ended in what year was it? 1865, I think. I could be wrong, chat. You're more than welcome to correct me if I'm wrong on that date. But it ended well over 100 years ago. Well over 100 years ago. There is no one alive today that was a slave.
You know, they'll come up with the usual argument that even though it ended back then, you know, oppression didn't end.
But that's a different thing.
I know, but they'll use that argument, though.
Oh, I know they'll use it, but it's completely two different things: oppression and as a person that actually lived through the civil rights movement, you know, and seen some of that with my own eyes. I seen whites only water fountains and blacks made to sit on the bus, on the back of the bus. I seen that. Pat has a point. The slavery ended. Anything now is mental slavery. You know? But there's no one alive today that was an actual slave. So who do I pay my reparations to?
In fact, yeah, if you're caught being a racist, you know, that suggests that slavery should come back, you'll be dogpiled.
Yeah.
You'll be attacked. Your home will be had bricks thrown at it and stuff, you know?
But seriously, okay. Slavery was terrible. It's awful. I'm actually not against, if we had wanted, while they were still alive, to give reparations to those that had been in slavery. That would have been fine. That would have been just. You know, look, take this money. I'm sorry for what we did to you. But all those people are dead. So who do we pay the reparations to? Their descendants? Why? You were a slave. I mean, am I wrong here? Or
yeah, it's funny when people like Trey Melvin say stuff like that, you know, because that kid's like he's a rich kid and he's saying things like that.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't understand. There's no one alive today. In fact, there's no one alive today. I'll go so far as to say none of your grandparents were even slaves. It's been over that long. They're long dead, people. Long dead. It's over. It was a terrible thing, but we ended it. We got through it, and we are in a completely different time now.
Slavery's not PPI, people.
Yeah. and please don't tell me that blacks don't have equal rights to whites, because you're full of it. Not only are there all kinds of laws that says that can't happen, and if you see it happen, you should be reporting that instead of spouting off your mouth on social media. But they got nothing. That's why that's all they do is just spout off on social media.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Yeah, Pat says, but my victimhood. Who do I pay reparations to? Because none of you were slaves. Why am I? And that's my tax money, people. I got a say in what it goes to. You know, that's how this country got started. You know, taxation without representation, the Boston Tea Party, all that stuff.
You know, I mentioned Trey Melvin, and Cynical Lindsay there is mentioning him again there. Did you know that in a video, he personally took the adpocalypse as a personal attack on his blackness?
Yeah.
The guy's so retarded.
Data brings up a point that I had in mind. I just hadn't got to yet. The real shocker is that many don't realize the very low percentage with any direct connection to slavery. You do realize that not every black person in America is descendant of slaves. And many of them don't even come from Africa. They come from places like Jamaica and other places. Did you realize that there were a lot of free black people that came to early America? Did you
see them demanding reparations from the warlords' families who sold them into slavery in the first place?
And there were a few black slave owners. It's a historical fact. Thank you for the super chat, Batman. You have to remember, though, Bloodwing, Western civilization is the first civilization to abolish slavery, and it is still legal in many parts of the world. Yes, it is.
Qatar.
It absolutely is. But we don't hear about that.
No, we don't.
You know.
Well, we do from time to time, but it's not in the public sphere as much as it nearly should be. I mean, I think it was spoken about for one day by the majority of British media regarding Qatar building their stadium for the next World Cup.
Yeah. Look, as I said, my personal opinion, had they offered reparation to the ex-slaves at the time they ended slavery, I would have absolutely had no problem with that. That would have been justified. Absolutely. Here, we're sorry we did this to you. Take this to get started in a new life. Okay? I would have been all for that.
But if you do want to give money to these people, feel free. If you want to waste your money.
No, here's if you want to give money to these people, there are links to my Streamlabs in my link and my Patreon. It will go to a better cause.
Yeah, you'll spend it right.
Speaking of which, let's get those likes up. 94 people watching, 38 likes. We can do better.
Yeah, we have 94 people watching, 39 likes. I think we can get to around 70 likes, guys. Come on, we are the king of the likes on streams. I think we can get quite a few more. And of course, you want to support Bloodwing, support Redneck Radio. You could do so by sharing the stream out to your social media, and of course, donating via Super Chat and or Streamlabs and Patreon.
Yep, absolutely. What Bear said. and gosh, I was just, I don't know. I was thinking about this topic, and it just was really messing with my head. Like, why would I want to give my tax money to you? Because you were never a slave. Your great grandfather was a slave, maybe, but not you.
Yeah.
It's just asking for handouts. A freebie is what it is. Plain and simple. If any group in this country deserves any type of reparation, it would be the American Indian. And I'm not real sure how I feel about that. Because this was their home. We kicked them out, which is how the world history works, people. You know, I'm sure Bear's aware of that. You know, the people that exist in the UK today are not the people that always lived there. They kicked somebody out to take over their country. That's the way it works.
Yeah.
Evil One says, I need to watch the reparations video by Jericho Green. I don't know. Is he pro or anti? BG says, like the money is going to you spoiling your black grandkids. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I can't say that because, you know, that's like saying, well, I have black friends. I have black friends. You know, I can't tell people I have black grandkids because, you know, they look at that as me saying, I'm not racist.
I do despise it when they spurg out when you say things like that. Oh, I'm not racist. I've got a black friend. Well, it kind of does kind of prove that you aren't racist. Like,
right.
If you were racist, you wouldn't hang around with them.
Exactly.
You couldn't look beyond their skin color and hang around with them if you were actual racist. So,
yeah, Louise has got a point too. If you give them reparations, they'll never stop asking for more. Will it be enough? Where's it stop?
Yeah, I wonder if Ghazi's still asking people for reparations.
Yeah, I don't know. And like I said, if there's any group in America that deserves it, it's the American Indians. And I like Everybody else in America claims some kind of American Indian blood, but it is true in my case. My great grandmother was full-blooded Cherokee Indian, and I don't want your reparations. I want to earn what I get.
Yeah, so donate to Bloodwing.
Exactly.
He's an oppressed Apache.
No, I have Apache grandchildren. I'm Cherokee.
Oh, okay. He's oppressed Cherokee. He's got Apache grandchildren. Give him your money. He needs it for alcohol.
Now that I've got that out of my system, it's that time, people. So if anybody picked what is it? An hour and 10 minutes, you're the winner. So talk to the chat or whatever for just a minute there, Beer. I will be right back.
Roger that. What's going on, chat? I hope you're all well. What's going on, everybody? I hope you've all had a lovely week so far. What's been going on, guys? We've got Random American there saying, so your family's a bunch of vehicles. I'm British, and even I get that. 50 likes, guys. I think we can get some more for the old man. It's not for me. It's for the old man, 98 people, 50 likes. I think we can get to at least 70. What do you think? A cheeky 70 likes, eh? Damn, I was just going to ask if he peed yet. Well, I mean, it could happen again. I mean, they had a stream 2 weeks ago where he went twice in the same stream. I'm doing it right. How are you? But I'm not too bad. Thank you very much. No, not too bad. Thank you very much at all. Demon Lord. There's Demon Lord. Hi, Rate. You know what I'm going to say. So love your loss. Just say it. It might be for the old man, but you're the one with the sexy voice. Or do I? Well, don't be such a fucking dick tease, Demon Lord. Had a few streams in the stream. Yeah, streamception. This P game is rigged. I know, right? Did anybody get it right, by the way? What was it? 71 minutes? I think it took him to go tinkle. But I'm watching an anime at the moment. It's not a new anime. It's an older anime. It's called No Game, No Life. They're the same people who made Overlord, and I've nearly finished the first season. I know there's a few Animu fans in the chat there. Alex, maybe that lady that eats her bed is a gamer and gets large XP points. Maybe, maybe she powers up. Could you do us a favor, Bear, and drop Blind Girl a quick message about doxing danger? Her stream great, but she's not amazing on security. I worry. How so? Well, if we like the stream, it is because of Bloodwing and not you. Exactly. That's why I say for Bloodwing. I know how people get when I ask for likes. Like, fuck you, Bear. Batman has a sexy voice. Why is there an R in the word in your spelling of kebab? There's no R, dude. Is Bloodwing old enough that he pees like a horse?
I don't know. How does a horse pee?
I was about to say, surely, the older you get, it just turns into a dribble, doesn't it? Because your prostate's massive.
Pretty much. But as frequent as some of this new medicine that I'm taking, I was looking at the side effects of it, as you do, and I was looking at it, and one of the side effects was infrequent urination, and I'm like, hey, that's kind of a good thing in my case.
There may come a time where you don't need to pee during stream.
Yeah, if I keep taking this medicine, yeah.
Oh, Blobbing, since we're not on the news right now, I'd like to quickly talk about an anime real quick.
Absolutely.
There's one I started watching, Bloodwing. It's called No Game, No Life. It's made by the same people who made my favorite anime, Overlord. And there are moments that make me extremely uncomfortable in it, because there is a bit of a sexual theme from time to time, because one of the main protagonists is an 18-year-old lad who's a bit of a sex pest, and his little sister, who's the other protagonist, is an 11-year-old girl, and the ladies involved in the anime regularly use a public bath, and yeah.
Well, I guess that's a thing in Japan, but
she's basically a lolly, and it's an aspect that makes me extremely uncomfortable.
Oh, like a little kid. Yeah, that lolly stuff. No. Just no. The Batman says, not to change the subject, but we'll get back to it. Says no. What is? Oh, no, I bear. The older I get, the longer I take to pee. Yes, Batman, I do that. There's sometimes that I'm standing there and feels like I'm there forever. I'm like, okay, is it ever going to stop? So yeah, I guess the answer would be yes. There's a game that I play sometimes. I'm not much for Japanese games, but there's a few, and there's a game that I play sometimes that uses lollies in it in adult situations. And I'm not good with that. I'm not comfortable with it. In fact, I purposely went out on the internet, learned how to change the files in the game so that it no longer shows those lollies.
Yeah, it's the same with No Game, No Life. I mean, yeah. At least it's not pedophilia. Well, I mean, what one could argue that it is.
Yeah.
But it still makes me extremely uncomfortable.
You can say all you want to. They represent people that are over 18 years old, all you want. But when they look 3.
Oh, no, it's strictly like outlined that the girl's 11.
Yeah.
And I suppose that makes it worse.
But I've seen that argument before. I have seen that argument. Oh, no, they representing older girls. They just don't have any boobs. Okay, then why are they sleeping in a baby bed? Because I've seen that. Why are they wearing little girls' underwear? Because I've seen that. Well, why do they have that? I've dated girls with very little, I'm actually kind of a fan of small boobs. And, but they had some,
The other female characters tend to be quite heavy in the chest, and they are blatantly older, which is fine. It's just when like his little sister Shiro is naked in the baths and stuff. They don't show anything, but they kind of blur out her chest and her private parts just like they do with the adults as well. But it makes me a bit uncomfortable when watching it.
Yeah, I would feel uncomfortable too. In fact, I would probably, and that's just me. You do what you want. I would probably stop because that would be a deal breaker for me. Something like that.
Well, this is the thing.
As
the
much as I like
really
this
good.
show, I don't want to watch anymore.
Yeah, I mean, most of those scenes, they are far and few between. They are usually quite short. I'm going to continue watching it, but
yeah. Of course, I'm at the age now where when people get all kissy face in a movie or a TV show, I'm like, oh, come on, get on with it. I don't want to say, stop it. Get on with the show. Nobody cares about you kissing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What else did you want to touch on tonight, mate?
I hadn't actually thought that far ahead. I thought talking about those 2 articles and talking about the reparations would take us longer than it did. But yeah, so if you've got anything, feel free to chime in. In the meantime, I did have a story. We have a story on our hashtag.
Oh, good.
I just remembered. Let me get over there. From Perfectly Faded Delusions. A letter from the fat person on your flight. For the record. Okay, this ought to be good. A letter from the fat person on your flight. When another passenger humiliates a fat person, what do you do?
Yes, I believe this. We had this on Ghost Poo last night.
To the traveler in seat 7C, I met your eyes for the first time in the Long Beach airport. Quarters were tight and flights were delayed. Passengers were irritated by closeness, stranger skin too near their own, their faces twisted, then calcified with aggravation. And I do get that. I'm not a touchy person. I don't like being touched, and I'm not that big per se. And yeah, it gets a little tight for me in there. Our flight was oversold, and I was reassigned at the last minute to a middle seat. When the ticket agent handed me my new boarding pass, I looked at her pleadingly, feeling the full width of my size 28 body. Your size what?
How big?
28?
God damn.
Jesus Christ.
Be a big lad or a big lady.
Yeah, I know, she said. I'm sorry. I retreated from the desk, defeated. I remembered looking for warm faces, desperate to find softness in the frustrated passengers that would flank me. Who could I trust to tolerate the breadth of me? Whose face bore the marks of mercy? How about this? How about you lose some weight and then you don't worry about it?
Yeah.
Donation or nope. That's subscription. Thank you to whoever just subscribed. That's where I found yours, bright and warm, nestled in a persimmon scarf. I think you met my gaze. I think you smiled. I planned carefully, working diligently to avoid taking any more space or time than I needed. I couldn't afford to give my fellow passengers more reasons to take aim at my body. I lined up early, checked my suitcase at the gate, took my seat quickly. I watched the passengers file down the row, again searching their faces for something forgiving. I saw your warm face again and hoped you'd sit next to me. You took your seat one row up. Then my seatmate arrived. When he sat down, he didn't meet my eyes. He adjusted the armrest, assertively claiming it as his own. What? First of all, I don't, in a public setting like that, I don't necessarily meet people's eyes either because, I hate people. Have I ever said that before? I hate people. And I don't always want to talk to you. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I don't. And there's a reason why that armrest is there. It is absolutely acceptable to put it down and put your arm on it. It's not as long as you're not taking up both armrests, because that's the other person's. Assertively claiming it as his own. He needn't have. I had learned that any free space belonged to the thin. Oh my God. I hate you, perfectly faded delusions. My arms were crossed tight across my chest, thighs squeezed together, ankles crossed beneath my seat. My body, if you're a size 28, do you really have ankles?
Yeah, you do, but they're just spilling out of your socks and your shoes.
My body was knotted, doing everything it could not to touch him, not to impose its soft skin. I folded in on myself, muscles aching with contraction. Suddenly he stood up, fighting against a stream of passengers in the narrow aisle to speak with a flight attendant, then returned to his seat, looking thwarted. Moments later, he got up again. I couldn't hear what he was saying, but there was an urgency in his face. I wondered what their summit had been about. He returned to his seat again, mouth straight and muscles tense. I considered asking if he was all right, but his agitation threw me. I was a young woman. He, an older, upset man. No, it wasn't me. I haven't flown recently, but it could have been. He, an older, upset man. The two of us in an enclosed space for hours to come. I had spent a lifetime learning not to put my hand on the hot stove of men's agitation. Oh my God, and that's highlighted. Oh, so now we not only got anti-fat shaming, it's anti-men.
Here we go.
Maybe you have too. He got up a third time. No, how about this? I haven't either. I've learned not to put my hand on the hot stove of anyone's agitation. You don't poke the bear, whether it's male or female. Come on.
Or me, because I'll bite you.
That's when I heard him say, unbelievable, his voice sharp with irritation. The fourth time, I heard paying customer angrily over enunciated all convex consonants. There's too many C's, darling. He returned to his seat and let out the sharp, belabored sigh of a wronged customer. He crossed his legs away from me, leaning into the aisle, chin in his hand, glowering. He checked over his shoulder repeatedly, constantly scanning the cabin. I didn't yet know how to read those signs. The stove wasn't lit, but it let out the low hiss of leaking gas, and I caught the first whiff of its acrid stench. Maya, you're really trying hard to make this dramatic, aren't you, sweetheart? I moved gingerly, not knowing what it meant. I didn't yet know the certainty of its ignition or the blast that was coming for me. I didn't yet know how to protect myself or respond. That was the day I learned. At long last, a flight attendant approached him and crouched in the aisle, whispering something in his ear. My seatmate got up silently, gathered his things, and moved up one row. Before he sat down, he looked at me for the first time. This is so you'll have more room, he said. His voice was cold. Good grief. Yeah, I'm reading this verbatim, people.
Is this a novel?
Yeah. The flight attendant looked at him puzzled. This won't be a vacant seat, she corrected. Someone will still be sitting here. My former seatmate looked away, then took his seat just opposite you. That was when I realized what had happened. He had asked to be reseated. You think it took you that long to figure it out? You're not only fat, you're dumb. The nearness of my body was too much for him to bear. All that agitation, all that desperate lobbying, all to avoid 2 hours next to me. I've never feared it before. I don't think I need to. I didn't think I needed to. Look, as I stated, I don't like touching, and I don't like people touching, and I will by all means and at all costs in such a situation on an airplane where try to avoid touching your arm or whatever on the, I've got my own personal space and I don't like it invaded. And I know I'm not alone. There's a lot of people that are like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, come on. The next thought came quickly, urgently. Don't cry. You can't cry. That's in italics, by the way. But it was too late. Hot tears stung my eyes, then spilled onto my cheeks. I stared at my lap, eyes fixed on the width of my thighs. And what a width it was. No, that was me, hadn't it? I glanced up and saw your warm face drained of its color, blank as a canvas, eyes wide and empty. Your neck was craned so you could see me. You were watching me like television. God!
What?
I stayed like that, body knotted up into its most compact shape, eyes locked low for the rest of our trip. Flight attendants visited my row frequently, offering free wine, beer, and snacks to the passengers sitting on either side of me, apologetic offerings for having to tolerate a body like mine. Sweetheart, I guarantee you if they were offering them free drinks, they would give them to you as well. All you had to do was ask. And they probably offered it to you too. You just didn't mention it. Come on. Look, my mother was obese, okay? I get it. But, Jesus. Okay, let's read on.
It's so dramatic.
The flight attendants didn't speak to me. Bullcrap.
I guarantee they bloody well did.
My seatmates didn't look at me. I had been erased. Here's something, and this is me. I'm going to interject here. Maybe they didn't look at you because they didn't want you to think you were staring at them because you're a fat whale. I'm getting demonetized today, aren't I?
Yes, you are.
Last week wasn't. I did notice a trend, though. As I was looking through what they'd remonetized and everything. The live streams that Monkey was on were all demonetized. And it was well too late. Those have already got the views they're going to get to even bother with it. But
mate, I still ask for a review no matter what, just out of spite.
I probably should.
I don't care whether I'll earn anything from it or not, or whether it gets any more views. I do it just to go, no, YouTube, you can review it.
All right, back to our novel here. You know,
Unless you wanted to move on from this fat sob story, I was sent something on Twitter.
I really want. Oh my gosh! Oh my God! It's like 10 pages long.
Yeah. And you have a super chat, so
just no. I didn't realize it was that long. Okay. Well, let my chat catch up, because when I read stories, my chat gets behind and then it has to quickly catch up because my computer's old and wore out. And
we'll get you a new one, mate.
Oh, there it is. Thank you, Vomit GPP Sausage. Before you're demonetized.
There you go.
Yeah. Look, my as I said, my mother was obese. She struggled with obesity all her time. And she was one of those few people that actually had a medical excuse. She had no thyroid gland. It was removed. She controlled it with medication. And when that happens, you tend to be fat. And she always hated that it was fat. But you know what? She wasn't a little sissy, thin-skinned snowflake about it. We used to tease all the time. Drove my dad crazy. Thank you, the Batman demonetized. Yeah, there you go. Used to drive my dad crazy because my mom, you know, I was the oldest child. My mom and I would tease each other. She'd call me skinny runt, which I was really skinny in those days.
Yeah.
Really skinny. You know, I was all eyes and ears. And she'd call me skinny runt and I'd call her fatso.
Bit of banter between the both of you.
Yeah. You know, and it was just back and forth and we'd laugh about it. Of course, Dad said, I don't see anything funny about it. You know, but she knew she was heavy. She also knew there was nothing she could do about it. So life handed her lemons. She made lemonade. She made the best out of it.
May as well embrace it if you can't help it.
Look, sweetheart that wrote that novel that I'm not going to finish. So dramatic. Oh my God. If you're really that concerned about it, how about you get concerned about it to go on a freaking diet and not be a size 28?
I can't believe how long this thing is. It could be just completely surmised in one line saying, I'm a fat bastard. People were not happy that I got on a flight with them.
Yeah.
That's it.
And you know what? I don't blame them. Because you being so big and size 28 is a pretty big person, pretty big lady, you're going to take up more than what fits in your seat. And you're at extremely close quarters in an airplane as it is. You already admitted that at the beginning of the article. It's not their fault, sweetheart. It's yours. Oh.
I was sent something on Twitter whilst we were listening to that very, very dramatic story.
Yeah.
If you'll have it, of course.
Of course.
Hardcore pornography and video games partly to blame for surge in violent crime, says Diane Abacus Abbott.
Oh, Lord.
This woman is just the biggest friggin' moron. Like, she's, you know, at least AOC, like, I'd fuck AOC. I would not touch Diane's body with your dick, Bloodwing.
Oh, yeah?
Well, I can share screen. I'll show you what she looks like just in case you aren't familiar with her. And there you go.
Okay, let me get over. I was actually looking something up real quick. Oh my gosh. That's a man. That's a man.
You know what's weird is I saw her when she was younger. There's pictures on like Wikipedia. You can see when she was first ever elected. And she didn't look that bad back then. I don't know what happened. Like she actually looked like a woman back then. Now she looks like a friggin' toad.
That is a freaking man. I'm telling you.
That is the current Shadow Home Secretary of the United Kingdom. And she's an absolute fucking spastic.
Have you ever seen pictures? of the health minister of, where is it? Is it Norway or Sweden? It's one of those countries there.
Mm.
She is huge. She's freaking huge. She looked like she ate everything at McDonald's and went back for seconds.
When they chose her to take that job, they were like, "Oh God, this is going to be fun."
And she is the health minister.
And yes, Batman. Sorry, I know Jeremy Corbyn has had sex with Diane Abbott, probably when she was okay looking back in the day. But back when Jeremy Corbyn was like a massive activist and anti-racist activist, and there was a time, Bloodwing, when she looked like a lady. There was a time, not anymore though. And yes, perfectly fair illusions. Absolutely, it's been debunked repeatedly that video games do not cause violence.
Yeah,
I don't know about pornography. I'm sure there's a few studies out there, but
yeah, it's been debunked over and over again since it started. You know, they started yelling that from the time there's been video games when they were 8-bit. You know, for Pete's sake, they were, it causes violence. But to begin with, it was the far right, you know, the religious right that was crying that. Now it's the left.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? That pendulum. He's never been a looker, though, has he, Bear? But you're about Corbyn? Yeah, Corbyn's never been. He's always looked like a friggin' hippie, that guy. You know, even back then, when he was a young man, he was still like a friggin' hippie. He didn't look right. But I just think some young people, the video games they play, the stuff they see online, it may desensitize them to violence. No, it doesn't work like that, right? I can guarantee you, if you took, I don't know, some 14-year-old little shit who gobs off at people constantly playing Call of Duty online, right? Who's amazing at the game. If you were to take that kid and put them in a real life scenario, they'd probably throw up.
Look, here's my point. If video games make you want to go out and kill somebody or hurt someone, then
you're going to do that anyway.
You were mental to begin with.
Yeah.
Okay. I played a game here a couple of years ago called Bulletstorm. Don't know if anybody of you ever played it. Violent game. You get extra points the more violent your kill. The more violent you can make it, the more bloody, the more points you got.
Sounds like Manhunt.
I loved it. I loved it because it was just a good release, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And but I never once had the feeling that I wanted to go out and start decapitating people and mashing their brains into mush.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And there was a game, I don't know whether you played it, called Manhunt.
Yeah, I've not played it, but I'm very aware what it is.
But for those who don't know, you're a prisoner on death row. Your life is saved by, quote unquote, the director, who basically wants to film you in a snuff movie. He puts you into these various areas that are cordoned off, you know, various different environments, and you have to go up against different gangs. And you can get a higher score and unlock things by killing people as fast and as gory as you possibly can. And you used to have a white kill, a yellow kill, and a red kill. And you would use all kinds of weapons, plastic bags, shards of glass, baseball bats, crowbars. And some of them were pretty grim, even back then for PlayStation 1. Especially the old crowbar one, man, because you used to jam it in their shoulder and break their collarbone, and you could hear it, you know?
This Bulletstorm was a little bit more cartoony, over the top. It happened in space, and the main character was voiced by the same voice actor that voiced Wolverine in the old 90s X-Men comic cartoon. But I mean, you could pick up weapons like one that shot dynamite that stuck to you, you know, or saw blades, or a weapon that had a rope that come out and would grab people and jerk them to you and then throw them back out. And you'd get extra points for slinging them against spikes on the wall. And the more you did it, the more points it would rack up. It just keep racking up all these points. And blood and body parts are flying everywhere. It was great.
Yeah.
But it was a very good release. I had a good time playing that game. It wasn't a real popular game. It came out by a big company, but I forget who right off the top. It didn't sell a lot, but I enjoyed it. But yeah, come on.
I'm going to show you these memes that Vomit Sausage just sent me. They are relevant and they are amusing, sir. You'll definitely like the first one.
Jake Taylor, Doom causes devil worship, and
I like that.
Got a. I think what did it say? I think we found what?
I think we found the problem. There's a poo emoji on the wall. And there's one of Diane Abbott as well that says, nothing is made in the UK these days. I just bought a radio and it said built-in antenna. I don't even know where that country is.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Thank you, Vomit Sausage.
Thank you, Demon Lord QTRT. A few years ago, I did research on DTA. I heard some interesting studies and found crime drops by 15 to 20% in New York for about 3 weeks after they come out. And I don't doubt that. Everybody's locked away inside playing the new game. You know? Yeah, I mean, I love violent video games. I do. I'll admit it. I used to play Dead Island. A lot of people didn't like that game because it was really glitchy
and clunky.
And clunky. But I loved it. And one of my favorite things to do was hijack a truck and just ride it up and down the roads, running over as many zombies as I could. I just loved it. Just like, boom, run over another one. You know, I love violent video games. I do. But that doesn't mean I want to go out and hurt somebody out on the street. I know the difference between a video game and real life. The problem comes when you get people that don't know the difference between a video game and real life. People with psychological problems.
Yeah, I mean, they mentioned pornography, and I don't know. I don't know whether there's many studies on that. I haven't really looked into it. I mean, sure, someone in the chat will tell me. But I can't see that either.
Cynical Lindsay says Dying Light is a much improved Dead Island. It is. I have played Dying Light, but and it's the same company or the same group that made it. I'd say Dying Light was the game they really wanted to make and just didn't have the know-how and the funds at the time they made Dead Island. But I think it's the very clunkiness of it that makes it appeal to me. It's just I don't know. I just really liked it.
I'll continue reading if we have time.
Sure.
Hardcore pornography in video games are contributing to the rise in violent crime by desensitizing young people to vicious behavior. No, you're wrong, Dan Abbott. Shut up. The Shadow Home Secretary said boys as young as 8 were accessing online pornography and suggested that exposure to extreme imagery could be partly to blame for violent crime. Her comments come as Theresa May faced a mounting backlash over her dismissal of a link between a spat of fatal stabbings and the police cuts she presided over at the Home Office. Well, I think it has a lot more to do with the culture.
Yeah.
The lack of this, you know, the dad in the home, the access to weapons, gang culture, you know, that kind of thing. But okay. And police cuts, you know, austerity, you know, it's not been very good, especially on poorer neighborhoods. Home Secretary Sajid Javid, that's the bald guy who looks like a Malteser, has rowed in behind calls from senior police chiefs for more cash to pay for additional officers. But the Prime Minister and Chancellor Philip Hammond have so far rejected the demands. My shock, imagine it. Ms. May announced plans. She's friggin' married, isn't she? Okay. Announced plans for a knife crime summit after a number of deaths, including 17-year-olds Jodie Chesney in London and Yusuf Galeb Maki in Manchester at the weekend. Yeah, it's spreading all over the country now. The recent tragedies have sparked a heated debate over police numbers, which have dropped by more than 20,000 over the past decade. Well, can we bring back stop and search, please, and stop calling it racist? Because, you know, it kind of stops people from stabbing each other. I don't want to go on because it just makes me mad.
Video games do not kill people, nor do they make you want to kill people. Jen made a comment a minute ago, and it's true. This is people murder their Sims in the Sims game all the time, and that one's supposed to be family friendly. Yeah.
I used to create like families of 9 and then drown them all in the pool.
Oh yeah. We've all done that. Make them get in the pool, then take the ladder out so they can't get out, or wall them in and make them starve to death. I've done that.
Yeah.
Build walls around. Purposely make somebody with absolutely no skills in it go try to repair the TV set so they get electrocuted, or caught on fire.
I've accidentally lost Sims that way. But yeah, but by not putting in a fire alarm, for example.
Yeah. Or on the first Sim, I used to turn off their free will and not let them go to the bathroom just to watch them cry because they peed themselves. Yeah. But would I do that to somebody in real life? No, of course not.
I mean, there are a couple of people that I might do that.
Okay, so are you done with that story?
Yeah, I don't want to read any more of it.
The only reason I asked is I wanted to get into story time because this one might take a few minutes to get into, and we're finally going to approach what you say is your favorite story. In case you haven't heard, there was a time in my life that I actually met a for real serial killer online.
Hey.
Now we're talking in the early 90s, early to mid 90s. Well, at this time it would have been mid 90s. And at that time, HTML chat sites were king. There was no Twitter, there was no YouTube, nothing like that. HTML websites were the place everybody went to hang out. On an HTML website, some of them still exist. In fact, the one I was on I checked the other day just to see if it was still there, and it's still there. Not very many people in it, but it's still there. And what it is just a plain, not oversimplified web page, and you see different links, which are links to a chat room. They're called HTML websites because you could use different HTML tags to show an avatar, or show pictures, or change the font to your name or whatever. And that's what people did. They went to these places and hung out and talked. And a lot of these sites were like the one that I worked for. I was a moderator for a website called Webmaze. And moderators for those chat sites are not like you guys that are mods in my chat here. The people in the room didn't make you a mod. It was a process. You had to be vetted. The owner of the website had to make you a mod. So he would watch, and these were corporations. A lot of these websites were owned by legit corporations that used them as a tax write-off. So, it was a big deal. They would watch and vet you for several days and see, what kind of person you were and whether you were level-headed enough to handle it, because it got pretty rough sometimes. But they were generally had the same layout. At the top of the page, you would have your G-rated games, all the general chat and so forth. And as you went down, you got PG-rated games. As it went down, you got, say the role-playing games like Vampires, the Vampire the Masquerade, and other White Wolf stuff, where people went to role-play. Below that, you had a porn room where people shared porn. Then you had the BDS room. And then below that, you had at the bottom of the page were the gore rooms. Now, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on what they were. Just imagine BDSM on steroids. That's where I was a moderator, even though I could be called upon to go anywhere else on the website in case their room didn't have a moderator in at that time. was where I was supposed to hang out and watch things. So I'm a moderator there, and I'm talking to this fellow quite a lot. Called himself Lord Thunderhawk. I remember at the time, and we had a lot of conversations. Always thought he was a little bit odd, but nothing out of the ordinary. I mean, people that show up in those rooms were a little bit odd by default anyway.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. But I noticed that he hadn't been in for several days. Next thing I know, Buddha, well, he called himself Buddha. He was the owner of the website. Popped in my room and said, "Hey, I need to talk to you in a private chat." I said, "Oh, really? What I do?" He says, "Oh, no, nothing. I just need to talk to you." So I went with him into a chat room just set up by him for us to talk with and his guests. I'll get to who his guests were in a minute. And he said, "I need to talk to you about Thunderhawk, and we need to go through the chat logs. And there's some people here that need to ask you a question." And I said, "Okay, well, who are they?" He said, "The FBI." I was speechless for a second. And I'm like, "The FBI?" And he said, "Yeah, the FBI." And I know that they were, in truth, because I actually talked to them personally on the phone at a later time after this. Anyway, they start asking me questions about this fellow. Long story short, come to find out, who I knew as Lord Thunderhawk was an individual by the name of John Edward Robinson. Look him up on Wikipedia if you want to. He's considered the first internet serial killer.
Was it John?
John Edward Robinson.
Word. Right, auto completes.
Yeah.
There he is. He's a scary looking dude. Jesus Christ. American serial killer.
Yep. Absolutely.
Should I read his thing?
Yeah, you can do a quick bio, yeah.
John Edward Robinson, born in December 27th, 1943. He's an older gentleman. Yeah. Is an American convicted serial killer, con man, embezzler, kidnapper, and forger who was found guilty in 2003 for 3 murders committed in and around Kansas City, Kansas receiving the death sentence for 2 of them. In 2005, he admitted responsibility for 5 additional homicides across the river at trial in Kansas City, Missouri, in a deal to receive multiple life sentences without possibility of parole and avoid more death sentences. Investigators fear that there might be other undiscovered victims as well in both cities and elsewhere. As of 2017, with 8 murder convictions across both states, Robinson remains on death row in Kansas. Because he made contact with most of his post-1993 victims via online chat rooms. There you go. He is sometimes referred to as the internet's first serial killer.
Yep. I had spoke to him on many occasions, because not only was I a moderator there, which of course everybody knows the room mods, I also participated some. And so without going into a lot of detail what the room was about, I was of pretty high rank. In fact, when the leader of the room left for about 6 months, I was the leader. So, but I spoke to him on many occasions. Like I said, I thought he was a little odd at times, but nothing really. And in fact, it's believed that one of the girls in the room who disappeared in our room was one of his victims.
Oh, wow.
So one of his victims is believed he chose out of our room. Now, I did not have to go testify. They asked me if I'd be willing to go testify about our conversations and what I knew of him and so forth. But they had, as it turned out, they had more than enough evidence against him that it was a slam dunk.
Roger that.
They didn't need me. So thankfully. So yeah, there you go, people. That was the time old Bloodwing actually met a serial killer.
I'll chuck the link to the guy in the chat if anybody wants to have a bit of a read up on him.
All right.
Seems like he was certainly a busy boy. He went by the names John Osborne, the slave master.
Yeah.
Internet slave master. Oh, wow. He embezzled, $33,000 from a medical practice? Mail fraud, securities fraud.
Not that kind of serial, Random American says, was he a soup killer as well? So yeah,
yeah,
folks, it just goes to show you, and the lesson I took from this is don't trust anybody on the internet because you never really know who you're talking to.
it would appear one of his victims lived in Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it talks about the BDSM online chat rooms.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a 21-year-old Polish immigrant living in Indiana.
Yeah. He was he didn't come to our room until at the end of his serial killer career, toward the end of it. He was in it maybe 4 to 6 months, something like that, you know.
Mm. Wow.
James Colley, thank you. Did you notice you have super chat now? Congrats. Yes, I did notice. I did notice, and thank you for noticing. Yeah. But yeah, there's that story.
That's I think the majority of his targets were women, so I think you would have been all right, but that's still pretty scary stuff.
Yeah. Well, you know, I was responsible for in the room I was in, they role played women slaves, basically, without getting into a lot of detail. So I was responsible for all those women, you know, as the moderator. Like I said, a moderator on a site like that is not like being a moderator in my chat here. It was way more responsible of a job.
Yeah.
And you were vetted quite extensively.
Yeah.
Before they'd accept you as a moderator. But, you know, not only because we were responsible for keeping the riffraff out of the room and people that broke the rules, but we also had access to all the chat logs.
Yeah.
Which included the private chat logs, you know, the private conversations between people in the rooms, which means we could potentially access your personal information. You know,
and you would have seen all the spicy conversations between people.
Yeah, when people were sexing up the rest of them. I could have seen that had I wanted to. But yeah, it's quite an experience and different time back then. But yeah, that website's still up and running.
So can I have the link? It's for science.
For that website?
No, I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
The name of it was Webmaze.
Oh, for God's sake.
There were several big ones at the time. Like I said, that was the big thing. That was the Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, all that stuff, all wrapped up into one of the internet at the time. Was those kind of chat sites.
Well, now that I know what it is,
not so much now. I took a look at it a few days ago, and I think there was one person sitting in a room by themselves. But yeah.
God, this is old school, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
I remember websites looking like this.
Yeah. You never know who you're going to meet, people. You know, Marianne on the internet that claims that she's wanting to sleep with you, even though she's 10 years younger than you and beautiful, may be a fat, hairy 40-year-old guy. You just don't know.
Pigeons. What the fuck?
So we have a couple of minutes if there's any question. Was that one person female? I don't recall, Tom. I really don't remember. I was just amazed that it was still up and running.
I'm so happy you've told that story now.
Well, there's a reason why I couldn't. My wife was also involved with that. At one time, we had our own room up in the G-rated section. My wife and I ran it. But she gets a little embarrassed when I talk about that particular time because she was involved with it as well, and it embarrasses her.
That's fair.
So if she's up and around, I couldn't talk about it. Batman always assumed the hot chick you meet online is a fat old guy in a string vest. Yeah, exactly.
You know, I was really gutted, man, because there was a stream and I left early, or I didn't go on it at all. It was fucking ages ago, and I know that Goot was on it, and I think a few others. And somebody put the Hangout link on Twitter, and somebody joined, and it was a fat guy in nothing but ropes, jacking it. Good
Lord!
I can't remember who that was. Who was on that stream? I can't remember whether I was on it to start with or what, but
it was quite a while. Will do anything just for a reaction, you know. They'll do anything just to get a reaction from people.
Mm-hmm.
No, no, PG. It wasn't. Like I said, our room was in the G-rated section.
It was T-Tac Bear. Roger that. T-Tac's a pervert. Covers himself in rope and jacks it.
Okay. Well, since there any last minute questions, because it's time and we're going to end this.
Yeah, I need to tinkle myself.
Yeah, I'm feeling the urge again. All right, guys. Okay. Well, it is that time. Thank you, chat, for coming out and supporting me. Absolutely appreciate it. Much better ratio with 62 likes. Thank you very much. And thank you for the donations, those that were able to. Bear, thank you for showing up as always.
No problem. Anything to show? Yes, absolutely, yep. Bloodwing. I put out a brand new video today on the R8 Bear channel. Response video to Neon Fiona on Trans Trenders. Enjoy.
Yeah, there you go. Go check it out, people. Any rate, I'm Bloodwing. That's it for us. And get out of my yard.
Bye, guys.